Away we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sales Vitamin Podcast. Got a great show for you today. We are going to hear from Justin Clark. He is the VP of Sales for Kelsan in Knoxville, Tennessee. Good afternoon, Justin. Thanks for being on today.
Hey, John. Happy to spend some time with you. Should be some fun.
I'm excited. I'm excited to just so our listeners will get your insights, what I call vitamins, and so that they can learn a little bit today and get some value. First off, tell the listeners about, what you do, what Kelsan does, and kind of what your role is.
Sure. So my title is Vice President of Sales for Kelsan, and we are in the janitorial and equipment and packaging distribution space.
Okay.
So, our primary customers, we're working with manufacturing facilities, schools, healthcare, a number of different verticals. And then within the last 2 years, have a new startup on the document management side of our business doing shredding.
Okay.
So we've got inside sales, outside sales, business development, a number of different hats that help support our customer base.
Okay. And is this on a region basis? Do you stay in the Southeast or in Tennessee, or how far, what's your territory?
Yeah, we claim the Southeast. We're really good in about 4 or 5 states. So we've got offices in Charlotte and Nashville, and the corporate offices in Knoxville and Chattanooga.
Okay, great. Well, let's start off with a question. So if you were told starting today that, hey, you are only able to use one method of prospecting for the next 90 days.
All right,
that's the only way for the next 90 days. You can only use one method of prospecting. Sure. For your industry, for what you do. How would you do it? What method would you choose and why?
So I guess when you put that 90 days in there, that changes things, because a lot of the prospecting that people talk about and share about is this long-term relationship build, connecting with folks. But if you're looking at just this 90 days, how can you be as productive as possible?
Right.
It's old school, but I'm spending time on the phone. You can contact so many people in such a short amount of time and really be able to get your message out there and be able to land those meetings, land those appointments. There are some more strategic ways if you have a longer period of time to build up that commitment to that prospect. But short term, we still love the phones.
So let's talk about that long term. So strategic, let's say 90 days, you bust it out and you just use the phone. Where do you go from there? What's your inside and outside sales? What's your philosophy?
So our primary success is our outside team. We have business development managers, which arguably people would call hunters. So they have 0 accounts. All they're doing is spending time contacting prospects to win business. So we did this 6 or 7 years ago with limited success. However, a couple years ago, we changed our process, and the success has just gone through the roof, because we have an internal support person that helps find the proper contact people, actually sends packages in the mail on our behalf, has follow-up emails, follow-up voicemails on behalf of our business development team. So when we have targeted prospects that we're going after, it's more than just them doing all the research. It's more than them trying to touch the prospect multiple times. So when you think about a business development person, this is a highly paid, successful position, and you want them in front of as many prospects having selling situations.
Right.
And on the back end of the business development side, though, there's a lot of work with research and decision makers. And if you're going to send packages or LinkedIn messages or phone calls or voicemails. So we try to subsidize that to support those folks.
So do you use a third party, what I would call, and probably what you call, is kind of that outbound reach, even though you're inside, but you're outbound reaching those. And so they're making that connection. Or maybe internally you have employees doing it for the outside sales rep to go connect.
You've got it. We've probably worked with a half a dozen third parties as far as scheduling meetings for us or getting our name out there. But what we've done in the last few years is we've created that internally. So the person supports Kelsan only. It really allows us to really manage that message and use that person and change what we're doing on a really quick basis. So this internal person is doing a lot of the legwork, so our business development team can truly spend their time not just prospecting and looking for a customer, but talking with or visiting with those target customers.
And that's interesting. And you and I had a conversation kind of offline a couple of weeks ago about it, and I was fascinated by it. So the development people take it full cycle, really, I guess, once that internal person gets the appointment. Is that how that works? Is that how your sales process flows?
Yeah, so it could flow two ways. So the internal person could get the appointment, and then the business development person takes over, or the business development person will get the appointment with the internal person, meaning in a teamwork fashion to where the outside person is following up on something the internal person did. But once the sales process gets into, so once they agree to meet with us and we go into a qualifying state to determine, if we're a good fit for them, that is all the business development person. The internal person is doing everything they can to get that person in more selling situations.
And so when you did a split test, I guess, or if we want to call it a split test, what kind of results did you see versus when we just had someone doing the whole thing, discovery, finding the leads,
Sure.
prospecting, and going out versus, hey, we've got someone to help you now internally to get those appointments, and now you're going to go uh, make sure the sales process is fulfilled.
So we track the data like crazy people, and we have found that we are getting in front of first meetings with 40% of prospects with our current process.
Okay.
So we get a meeting with them. That doesn't mean we earn the business. Many times in the qualification, we realize, hey, we're not a good fit. They just signed a contract. But
Right.
because of all the additional support, we are getting in front of prospects.
Right.
And previously, before that, people were getting maybe 5% of people that they were going after. It's just when you can only reach out to a prospect once every 3 or 4 days because you're working a big list of prospects on your own and you're having to spend time researching, Googling, and learning all these pieces, it's just the touch points when you're on your own are significantly lower. So we dramatically increase the touch points with
Right.
these target prospects, which in turn leads to most often more meetings.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big number, 40%. So let's, for every 100 contacts, you're going to maybe set an appointment with 40 of those.
Yeah, we're going to get to talk to 40% of them. However, some of the conversations, they really are, hey, the reason we gave you a meeting is you've sent us 3 packages. We've got 19 voicemails from y'all or from somebody on your team. And
Yeah.
we're not in a position where we can make a change. But then we can update our CRM and know 12 months, 18 months, whatever it is. It's worth the time for us to be able to think about when we're going to talk with those folks again.
So what kind of training or what do you do from your chair? You're on the sales management side of it as the VP of sales. The touch points, I like that term. Just how do you add value at Kelsan on the touch points with your team out there? What do you stress to your people as far as, hey, here's how we need to be adding value? There's a lot of ways to do that, but what do you
Sure.
do there?
Well, when we can't get in touch with a prospect, or they say hey, we're happy with who we're with, or hey, no, we're not interested, and it's that quick put off. From there, we create monthly drips of given
Okay.
information. So it might just be something, hey, here's the update on where we're at with Curel for the next 6 months. And there's no ask for a meeting. It's just staying in front of those folks, oftentimes via email or some form of messaging.
Right. Now, let's talk about how you differentiate in the marketplace. What does Kelsan, from a sales standpoint, how do you differentiate versus, what you sell versus how you sell it? I know a little bit of the how you just told me. You've got someone calling, setting those appointments, but when your business development guy gets there, that what we're selling versus the how he or she is selling, where do you make those differentiations?
Sure. So we have a pretty significant competitive advantage in the way that we evaluate our sales team.
Okay.
What I mean by that is this will be wild and we might be stuck here for a little bit, but we pay 100% salary.
Okay.
So we overpay on the front end for salary and then hold accountable to results.
Okay.
What that does is it makes our sales team truly be able to be consultative. So
Gotcha.
when they get in front of a customer, we're not pushing a product or a vendor or a service as much as we are truly trying to help and understand their business. And that the idea that they're not having to have that commission breath to where they're pushing
Yeah.
something has completely changed the way we can interact with a customer. So the big thing we train our folks is about being curious.
Okay.
And when they meet with a prospect, well, of course we'd love to sell something. But it's our job to be curious about, are we the right fit? Is the way they like to do business line up with the way that we work? And then if we don't, then we part ways, we shake hands and go away as friends for the future, or just determine, hey, that doesn't work. And
Right.
that really makes for a different conversation compared to a lot of our competitors who are often pushing products, or they've got a commission-based sales force that I have no problems with commission at all. It's just, if you want to go on vacation or you've got to pay a bill, you better move something that month. And that kind of changes the conversation with a customer at times.
Has that, and that's a pretty cool approach. And you're the first one I've talked to that I've seen that. I've heard of it done before, and I've seen the car industry has done that in certain situations. But how has that affected the type of salesperson that you are able to recruit? What do you see the challenges or the things that they really like or don't like?
Well, from a recruiting standpoint, where it helps is we speak to great salespeople that have worked for an organization that constantly has a comp plan that's changing.
Yes.
So they made X this year and they did Y work. And now next year, if they do Y work, they're making significantly less money because they've changed this multiplier or the algorithm changed. And so if we can get that person that they know they're good at sales, they know they're valuable, they love to help, but they just want to work somewhere where someone pays them what they think they're worth. And so we create a way to where we can pay them what they're worth, and then those folks that perform continually make more money. So it's arguably delayed commission, because people that do well the following year make more money. This is still this is a numbers ball game. We have to perform. I have to perform.
Right.
We just acknowledge people's success at a longer period of time, which gives them more flexibility in how they're going to take care of that customer.
Yeah, you're paying them in advance, knowing that how you train them, how you treat them is going to produce what you want them to produce.
You got it. So we have a very in-depth hiring process. My wife laughs. She's like, it's like the FBI or NASA before we hire someone.
Yeah.
And before 10 weeks ago, if you say you're a toilet paper salesman or you've got Purell and disinfectant, no one cared about it. But now people really care. But previously, my wife would say, why do y'all spend so much time with these folks you hire? Well, we want to make sure that if we're going to invest on the front end, that we give them and us every chance to be successful.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point. The COVID-19, how has that affected obviously you've either had to ramp up or your supply chain has really had to step it up and get in gear?
Yeah, kind of a combination of both. We kind of laughed. The majority of customers we spoke with were upset with us for a solid 6 to 8 weeks because we couldn't get enough product. And so we had 20 or 30% of our business shut down because they were working from home or their doors closed. And then the rest of the business just needed more of everything. So we've really had to balance that, keeping our best customers, really caring about them and protecting product for them, and not going out and picking up brand new customers that would take the product we have for our current book of business.
Okay. Now, on the commission aspect, going back to that, how do you keep that salesperson motivated year over year? Do they eventually go into some type of commission role, or are there other incentives that are baked into that so that they, from that motivation standpoint?
Sure. It's a very fair question. So I'm going to pose a question back to you.
Yeah.
That I was asked that changed my mind on motivation.
Yeah.
So 7 years ago, I just got into sales management. I'm sitting with our CEO, and I'm really arguing for commission because, I wanted to make more money as quickly as possible.
Right.
And so he says to me, he said, Justin, how hard do you work? And, I stick my chest up tall and I'm sitting with the CEO. I said, man, I work hard. I kill it out there.
Yeah.
And he said, and if I doubled your pay tomorrow, how much harder would you work? And I said, I don't know if I actually could work that much harder.
Yeah.
And he said, that's it. Because you're not purely motivated by money. Do you want to make more money? Of course you do. But there's other things in fulfillment inside you. You want to work somewhere where you're cared for. You want to work somewhere that appreciates your family. You want to work somewhere where your salary can go up.
Yeah.
But you're not purely working hard because of the salary going up.
Right.
And so there's a number of folks that are intrinsically motivated in a point where they want fulfillment. They don't just wake up thinking, hey, what can I do to make as much possible money in the next 24 hours? Now, I want our reps to make more than anyone. We just put it in a different box in the way we present it.
Yeah. I think, the research is out there where money from a motivation standpoint, whether it's sales or management or whatever your role is not, it's down there on the list.
No, it's important though. So every hire we sit down with, people either want to come work here desperately because of the way we pay, or they know, oh my gosh, I could never do that. And so oftentimes you hear people, at the VP level, or they talk about fit and cultural fit.
Right.
And that is so unbelievably important to us because if a rep that's been on commission their entire career, and that's what they love, to think that we would change that on them, probably it's not going to work.
Right. No, absolutely. I think you're dead on with the culture. That's a big piece of it. How about if I said, hey, Justin, what differentiates at Kelsan, what differentiates the top performers that you see and maybe the ones that don't do as well? What do you see from a sales standpoint? What do you see the traits and characteristics so the listeners know, hey, here's what the real successful ones do?
Sure. I guess the first thing I would say is sense of urgency.
Okay.
The successful ones, and that's that intrinsic, they want to get things done. It fulfills them to know they took care of a customer or a product or a prospect.
Yeah.
So if you have that sense of urgency, then if you do the activity. So if you have a sense of urgency and you're going to do enough activity, and then lastly, this is kind of cliche, but that attitude is huge.
Right.
When it comes to sales, that you're going to have weeks that are awful. You're going to have weeks that are great. But if you know that you're doing the right activity and you're keeping a good attitude and you have an urgency about it, results tend to always follow unless you just have the wrong person in the role.
Yeah. Yeah. You can train those skill sets. One of the questions I would ask is, of the people that you have that come in the organization from a sales standpoint, would you rather someone come from outside the industry not knowing anything, or would you rather bring someone up through the organization that maybe knows a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I guess I could probably argue for both sides of it for different reasons.
Yeah.
Being that we're pretty different than the rest of our industry, if and when we try to hire someone that's been in our industry for a long time, there is a difference in coming to a team environment that is non-commission based, that is working together versus being a lone wolf on your own. So it's something that we really, if you look at our hires, we don't purely look for someone that hasn't been in the industry or has been in the industry.
Right.
For the majority of the time, we end up hiring someone that's not been in our industry before. They have great skills.
Yeah.
They have an awesome attitude. They fit our core values.
Absolutely.
And then from there, we train them on the processes, steps, products, et cetera.
Okay. How has since COVID-19, it's obviously your business has gone up. Have you done anything different from a training standpoint to enable your sales force to go out and communicate with customers? Anything different on the sales side that you're training different?
Yeah, actually, it's been really interesting. So we've got these key verticals, that one of which was schools. And schools shut down. We don't know if they're coming back. That vertical is gone, and we lost that business. So what we've done as a leadership group is we chose some other verticals that previously weren't key to us.
Okay.
So areas that they were still hiring, they did still have money to buy products, and we had to start training our sales team on these new verticals. So we did quick webinars on, here's how you answer these questions from this perspective. And we had to give our team enough information and buzzwords that they could go into these brand new verticals where we've never even focused or played. But they needed our products and they had money.
Yeah.
And we could really help them. And so we pivoted to a few different verticals that has made a huge impact in our business in a positive way.
Yeah, that's a buzzword right now, pivot. I guess it has been for a couple of years, but not more important than what's happened recently. You've seen a lot of companies do that. What's your company's philosophy, or how do you go about from a technology standpoint? Let's talk about technology and sales. How do you use technology there at Kelsan? on an everyday basis from a sales standpoint?
Sure. So we live in our CRM. That's our
Okay.
inside team and our outside team. So
Okay.
they have a daily report that gets emailed to them that shows their top accounts that are up, top accounts that are down, any and all activity that happened the previous day. So if there's an operational issue, there's an activity that's entered that shows up so that the sales team knows what had happened. Then there's all the reporting that just, we also send reporting on gaps they have within their current accounts.
Yeah.
So, hey, you're selling Purell and you're selling disinfectant, but you're not selling paper towels. So we send them their target list that they can load into their pipeline so that that always stays full. And they're not necessarily spending as much time having to do the research as we're giving them kind of where the bones are buried, and all they have to do is go to their customer and dig those up.
Interesting. From your chair, have you seen, how much do you see technology impacting the future of your business?
Well, it's impacting us a lot in ways that we're still struggling. So we moved about 70% of our employees to working from home,
Okay.
10 or 11 weeks ago. And 30% couldn't because they're drivers, they're essential employees, they receive the product, they warehouse the product. So hats off to, if any of them listen to this, I mean, they kept our business afloat, actually getting it to our customers. They're as good as them. But
Yeah.
with our sales team, we did have some challenges just as far as VPNs not working in folks' houses, different Wi-Fi not working in certain areas, or ERPs that won't connect under this light. So we have found some areas that we really need to improve, that if we were able to keep the business working, but we were not near as efficient. So our IT department is working diligently right now so that we are in a position where folks need to work from home. What additional resources, software do we need to do that?
Has that, and that's a great point, has this changed the way you lead your sales team with what's gone on and the use of your own technology and how you use it?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So 100% it's changed, and I'm trying to figure out what to do next. So follow me really quickly. So our
Yeah.
business development team, they were judged 100% on face-to-face meetings.
Okay.
How many could they get with new prospects each week?
Okay.
So then the last 10 weeks, we weren't allowed to leave our house or go anywhere. So we changed that evolution to, we considered a face-to-face meeting could be a phone conversation with a new prospect or a video call with a new prospect.
Okay.
We've had a lot of success in the last 10 weeks.
I
So
bet.
we're trying to evaluate, at what point do face-to-face meetings equal the same level of success as before? What we're really wanting to happen is to have good, solid conversations with prospects for them to learn about us to learn about them, and determine if we should consider doing business together.
Yeah. So what have you seen? I'd be interested. That's very interesting from a face-to-face Zoom meeting like you and I are engaged in right now. You've obviously seen that elevate.
Yeah.
So I mean, has that been better than the phone call?
It's better than the phone call, except it's not a Zoom call if somebody doesn't talk on mute. It's not a Zoom call if somebody can't get logged in time.
Right.
So I still think there's some challenges on our end and our customers' end to make the Zoom experience better.
Yeah.
If we could create a better experience, not with Zoom software, but just with everyone understanding what to do and how to use it,
Yeah.
the ability to share screens and share quotes and share PDFs, I think that is where a lot of not just our organization, but all sales is going to be forward, is recognizing that value.
So you've actually changed your, for a better word, let's just call it your KPIs on what you look at and how you kind of evaluate the sales team because of what's happened.
Yeah, we have a report every week that's how many first meetings did we land between our business development team. And last week it could have been video phone calls or video phone calls. And at some point I'm trying to determine, how does that merge into going back to face-to-face meetings? Or can we be as successful without having to be face-to-face, because we can be in front of more customers, can have a better impact on, if we see 10 folks and we're able to help 10 customers in a day versus one or two, it's a huge difference, not just to our bottom line, but to the impact we have in our community and to the folks we work with.
And what do you think is your biggest opportunity for sales training right now that you see with your sales force and with people you bring into your company? What's the number one thing you see that you guys really need to get better at?
So we talked about this at a meeting with our sales staff today. We've got a tactical planning meeting in July where we get together for 2 days, planning the upcoming quarter strategy, execution. And one of the big things on the books is we have got to train our folks to use video technology to the nth degree. So the good news, so Kelsan started in 1950. So we've been around 70 years, and we've got salespeople that have been with us over 40 years.
Wow.
So this isn't a comment about somebody who's younger or who's older, but we have folks in our organization that aren't nearly as comfortable with technology. And if that's where we're going as an organization, as a country, we've got to figure out a way to raise the bar for those folks that aren't as comfortable to be able to truly impact their customer without having to be in front of them or to have stopped by. Where a lot of the buzzword millennial, a lot of the millennial buyers don't want to see a salesperson. They don't want someone to come by and talk to them about the local sports team. They'd rather text, or you send them a YouTube video, or they still need and want value. Right. We've got to figure out a way to communicate to them when we're not necessarily right in front of them.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's the future buyer and the future sellers.
Sure.
The Gen Z or the millennial. So, those are the, like you said, they'd rather text or send a video, or they really don't want to see you in person. How do you keep your sales team engaged and motivated on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis? Are you big into personal self-development and improving their performance, or what things do you do there?
Yeah, so from an engagement standpoint, the first thing that we have to do as a leadership team is simplify what expectations are.
Right.
And so if they know exactly what expectations are, and then we've given them the tools, they should be able to do their job and know the expectations. From a personal standpoint, we do performance reviews twice a year. And within that performance review, they're talking about skill sets they struggle with. So they have to rate themselves on the sales process, steps 1 through 6. They rate themselves on how well they do in those areas.
Okay.
And then the manager rates them on their opinion. And from there, they have action items on what trainings do they need to go to, what books should they read, what role playing needs to take place. So at a minimum twice a year, they share how they can improve themselves for the sales world, but then they also share on the personal world, what is that they're trying to get better at. And then we look as an organization, because we believe if we can help them grow holistically and not just be a great salesperson, but be a great person,
right,
then we're going to be able to maintain employees for a longer period of time when we truly care for them more than just their sales skill.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of the sales leaders and authors will tell me is that, people will go to their annual training event and that's all they get.
Sure.
And that just doesn't stick. So, those things that you're talking about, I think, are pretty crucial in the development of the sales team, whereas you're getting those touches with them as well throughout the year.
Yeah, so something we do a lot of, which started out as I probably was cussed on the hour, but we role play.
Yeah.
We set a scenario, but the way we role play is a little different than the way other folks might. So a big reason people don't like role play is because no one likes to be judged in front of their peers. They don't want to do poorly. They don't want to be told they're wrong. And so the way we position role play is we have some great sellers. They're really, really good at what they do, but we all agree we do it a little differently.
Yeah.
So when we do role play, we have them share what the person did well, and we use it as an opportunity to learn from each other. So we'll present, hey, here's this situation. The customer said, hey, I'm happy with who I'm with. I'm not interested.
Right.
And then they all kind of go about their way. In every role play session, someone comes away with, man, I had no idea to do it that way. And so we take role play as a training, learning experience, as opposed to a chance for them for us to condemn them or tell them they're incorrect or wrong. But It did take many, many sessions for the sales team to trust us, that they weren't interviewing for their job.
Yeah, it is a true learning experience. I think that's awesome. You create that because that goes back to that culture. that you're talking about, and creating that environment for them to know that, hey, they're in a vulnerable situation. So you've kind of softened that up.
Yeah, we're doing our best for them to realize we're doing role play not to evaluate them as much as we really want to have the group help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I got one more question for you, but before we end on that question, what I want to do is tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, your web address, or where they can get a hold of you, and if they want to use your services and products, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Sure. Our website is www.kelsan, which is KELSAN.biz, B-I-Z.
Okay.
And the best thing we're offering right now to help is we've created an infection prevention score. So what that means is we can go into any facility and we do an evaluation on disinfecting, safety, reducing touch points, and hand hygiene.
Okay.
And you get a score from 1 to 100, and then areas that you can improve that. So it's 100% free, but what a lot of our customers is they like to be able to have had that assessment done. They can show their bosses, they can show, look what we're doing to be proactive to protect our employees.
Okay.
So on our website, you can get a hold of us there. If you'd like to email me, my email is jclark, JCLARK, @Kelsan, KELSAN.biz. And I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn learning from folks like John. So I'm there a lot if you'd like to look me up.
All right. Justin Clark, he's the VP of Sales at Kelsan. And so here's my last question for you. Everybody that I talk to gets one vitamin at the end of the episode. And you've got a college graduate that's about to graduate. He's thinking of starting a career in sales. What's the one sales vitamin that you give him?
I think the vitamin I would give him was, don't look at the product you're selling, look at the manager you're going to work for. Not even the company that you're going to work for. Because when you're fresh out of college, that first manager that can help groom and truly care about you to get you to your next level will make or break your career, or at least speed it up significantly. So really focus on that manager and have someone that cares about your development.
Awesome. That's a great vitamin. Well, thanks for joining us. Again, this is Justin Clark. He's the VP of Sales at Kelsan, and he gave you his information to get in touch with him. Justin, I appreciate it. I think the listeners got a ton of vitamins today and information that's just going to be valuable for them, and I appreciate you spending some time.
Hey, John, I really enjoyed it. Look forward to staying in touch with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.